Just like with the prequels, I will bring balance. Look, before we get into this, you gotta know some things.
Like you, I love Star Wars. No, I'm not a fan of the prequels. Yes, I grew up watching the original trilogy before The Phantom Menace came out in 1999. I have very fond memories of sitting down with my family to watch a VHS recording of all 3 films recorded to one tape. That was my first exposure to Star Wars. That's where I fell in love with these movies. The original trilogy opened my mind to more than just a galaxy far, far away. It had a huge hand in introducing me to limitless storytelling. Literally anything I could imagine, I could create. Whether that was through making films, drawing, acting, or writing stories, Star Wars was a big part of my formative years that cultivated my creativity. I owe the original trilogy a lot for that. So why am I doing this list? Well, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I can really like to challenge myself with these countdowns. I don't always make worst lists for every video I do a best one on, but in this case, I thought it was appropriate. There is some content out there objectively looking at the negative aspects of the original trilogy, but not a ton. Since this is still Star Wars month, I wanted to see if I could make a list of worst moments from these 3 films. And no, I will not be taking the easy way out and counting the unpopular special edition changes. This list is going to cover the issues that existed before Lucas went in and added new effects while also altering key scenes. This is one of the more difficult countdowns I've had to put together, but to get to the best moments next week, we gotta get through the worst this week.
Ooh, let's get ready to nitpick! These are the top 5 worst Star Wars Original Trilogy moments. Ow, that hurt to say.
Number 5.
Governor Tarkin, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
I'm focusing on Leia's accent here. This one is definitely a minuscule detail in the grand scheme of things, but it still sticks out to me when rewatching A New Hope.
From Episode 4, A New Hope, Grand Moff Tarkin brings in Princess Leia to discover where the Rebel base is located. Things get much more serious when the Death Star is revealed to be in striking range of Leia's home planet Alderaan. All throughout this scene, Leia is speaking with a sort of half-hearted English accent. It fades in and out.
No, Alderaan is peace, but we have no weapons. You can't
You will
possibly...
prefer another target, a military target?
And doesn't ever show up again.
Don't get me wrong, the rest of this scene is great. It's the first time we get to hear,
You may fire when ready.
And it's a pivotal moment in the first film. Just, why is she talking like that?
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Her emotion is actually pretty good. It's not really a bad performance. In some interviews, Carrie Fisher explained that her lines there could not have been done in an American accent.
I'm surprised you had the courage to take the responsibility yourself.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see her point. In any case, this little detail can pull me out of the scene from time to time.
told you it was going to be nitpicky.
Number 4.
Well, I guess you don't know everything about women yet.
Because of Game of Thrones, fictional twincest is popular again. But let's not forget where it all started.
From Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Luke has just recovered from a Wampa attack and regroups with his friends who are having a pre-lovers quarrel. To make Han jealous, Leia kisses Luke. On the lips. For at least like 3 full seconds.
What makes this a little worse is that the extended scene plays up their romance even more.
What? Tell me.
That doesn't count as it's not in the movie, but it helps give us a clearer picture of where they might have been going with these two. The peck in A New Hope was one thing, but it seemed like the original plan was to build up the friendship between Han, Luke, and Leia as more of a love triangle. Thus, in retrospect, this scene is more than a little awkward. At the time, though, we didn't know Luke and Leia were brother and sister, so it's not like it affected the quality of Empire.
Transition.
Number 3.
This moment is unpopular with a lot of people.
From Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the gang is attempting to escape Jabba the Hutt's palace where Boba Fett has been since dropping off the carbonite-frozen Han Solo. He tries to attack as Solo accidentally strikes him, sending Boba Fett down into the Sarlacc pit and his death.
Most of us can agree that this was pretty lame.
Boba Fett was definitely a fan favorite. The mysterious bounty hunter captured the attention of Star Wars fans in The Empire Strikes Back and built a pretty strong following. That made it all the more disappointing when this previously threatening character died like a cheap cartoon villain. A letdown for sure, but his death here hasn't affected his popularity. Boba Fett continues to be one of the more appreciated, underused Star Wars characters.
At least he didn't get his head cut off like his clone dad.
Number 2.
Put me down! Help! Somebody help! Master Luke! Artu, quickly!
I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate the Ewoks, but there's a reason they're on the list.
From Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, our heroes have been captured by the Ewoks while C-3PO is looked at by these little critters as a god. He tries to make the Ewoks release his friends, but it's more difficult than Luke and Han think.
This scene just feels off.
The tone to the acting, especially from Harrison Ford, seems strange.
What did he say? Somehow I got the feeling that didn't help us very much.
While I don't despise the Ewoks, they're definitely a low point in the original trilogy. They sort of represent the trade-off of the dark and serious tone that Empire Strikes Back did so well with the less serious and sometimes straight-up goofy attitude of Return of the Jedi. This scene, I think, is them at their worst. And while this is fine for little kids, to an adult or even older kids, this can be kind of grating when we're expecting the more grave storylines to wrap up in the same movie.
But hey, at least we get to hear Yub Nub at the end. Oh, they took that out? Great.
And the number 1 worst Star Wars Original Trilogy moment is...
My sister has it. It's you, Leia.
I know. Somehow, I've always known.
This scene itself isn't all that bad. It's the idea behind it that I'm not a fan of.
From Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Luke reveals to Leia that she is his sister. The twins share a moment before Luke leaves to confront Vader, after which Han joins Leia as she is both confused and distraught by this news.
Leia and Luke being siblings wasn't always the plan.
While it's always been accepted by the audience, it has been questioned in recent years. Luke having a sister was definitely a thing, but Leia being that sister wasn't decided until Return of the Jedi. As seen earlier in this list, it's pretty damn clear that these two weren't supposed to be related as of the release of The Empire Strikes Back. The original idea of Luke's sister debuting in Episode 6 actually sounds better than it conveniently turning out to be Leia. It made those quasi-romantic moments between the two in the previous films a little creepy. All in all, these moments don't really affect my enjoyment of the original trilogy. If anything, the number 1 moment had me thinking of the possibilities of what could have been, and that makes the lore of the making of Star Wars even more interesting. Over on my personal channel, I have a review up of The Last Jedi and have been reviewing Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, so check it out for more Star Wars content.
I want to hear what you guys think. What is your least favorite Star Wars Original Trilogy moment? What do you want me to cover next on the show? Leave a comment and let me know. To keep in touch, like my Facebook page, facebook.com/AwesomeWalterB, or follow along on Twitter to take part in more polls about what may be covered in the future. Come back next week as I try to make this up to you guys after I go to a hospital.